Hey everyone, welcome to this iRacing video. I am Matt Christie, and in this video we are going to go ahead and do a race in the Ferrari GT3 at Suzuka. If you watched the previous video, then you're in good shape. We can go ahead and get started on this one. But if you haven't watched that video yet, please go ahead and click up that link up above my head. Check that out. It'll give you a good story and a little bit more background about the story I'm about to tell. So for the rest of you, ready to go? Let's jump on in. I'm going to go ahead and talk over a race like I did last time. I'm going to show you a couple qualifying laps and then I'll show you the whole race. I did do two races today. The first one didn't go as well as this one. I started 6th and finished 7th. Had a little bit of an off track hit a wall, but it was okay and only lost one spot and had 1X, so didn't lose any safety rating, and I gained a little bit of I rating, so it wasn't terrible. And it didn't prevent me from doing another race later, so that's a good thing. So let's go ahead and get this one started. All right, it's time to throw down some hot qualifying laps here. Hopefully we can qualify well, because again, that P6 in the previous race, not ideal. Put you in some traffic, and yeah, it's not the best thing. So let's go ahead and get to this one, see how it does. Getting ready here. My brakes are the burnout. I always got to do that extra burnout right before you hit the corner if possible. That's one thing I do like about this track, is that it's so easy to, you have so much room to kind of really get set up to take this corner. So to go real wide here, we want to get as good of a run as we can. So I'm just going to talk through this lap a little bit, and then we'll get to about why I'm in iRacing and all that. So it's important here to not go too wide. Got to be able to stay real tight to be able to get back on the power once you get through the apex. Always got to be real tight through the S's now. Now I downshift to second gear a lot sooner than a lot of people do here. I don't know. I just find myself, especially once the tires start to get worn a little bit, if I'm in third for too long, I just have to be really, really patient, and I'm not the best at that. So second gear, it just seems more comfortable for me. Just stayed on track there. I've been working on the hairpin here a lot, trying to get better exits. Today was okay. There's still more work that needs to be done, but tomorrow, actually we got 2 more days left before the end of the series, so we'll see if I do any more of these races, but there's definitely still some time out there for me to pretty good spoon. This one's been the hardest for me probably the whole series. I haven't had too many mistakes where I wrecked there, but that's just because I'm so cautious and going in so slow. 130R, yeah, this is right here. I spun in the other race, hit the wall over there. But I mean, I barely tapped it, but I spun, and yeah. I was lucky that the guy that was behind me had plenty of room, and then there was like really nobody behind him for a ways. But I got that spot back, so it was all good. I just had lost another one earlier, so. But yeah, so that was a good qualifying lap there as a 2:01.0. And as other people start putting up times, they'll start showing up there on the scoreboard. But for me, this was the most important lap, because I did have a real good first lap, but yet in this series have I been able to finish my second qualifying lap. So, and that's what screwed me over earlier, is I had a poor first lap, and then I spun it on the first turn of the second lap. So it just, I think it was a 2:01.5 was my quali time, which yeah put me 6th. If I would have got my normal time, I would have been P2. The guy that got P1 in that race was a little bit quicker. But I do have my best time here down, my official time in official practice, without any off tracks, down to a 2:07 something. My optimal is down to like a 2:02 something. But I'm still not at that pace. Good, getting all the way out there. spoon was just a little bit better than the last one. And in the end, you know, it's that's important because I mean, this is such a long run out of here. You just want to get a good exit. Okay, for some reason I see on the scoring it's not showing anybody else's qualifying time but mine, so you'll just have to look at that one for now. Once it's over, we'll look at the results. But yeah, this one was just a tiny bit faster, so that was good. It was worth following through, finishing out. So I got the qualifying results up there, guys. Check them out. I barely got P1. Jasper's pretty quick. Looks like Lexi's pretty quick too. So always the way it goes in these races, they're usually really tight fields up at the top. Sometimes tapers off a little bit at the back. This is split 3, so that, you know, makes a little bit of a difference. But strength of field was, yeah, like 1.8K, not super high because that's right where my iRating is at. So works out pretty good. But I was car number 1, so that's a lot of pressure coming in. You don't want to finish poorly when you're car number 1. Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and get this race started. P1, always a good place to start. Even better place to finish. Let's see how we do though. We got some fast people around us, that's for sure. Then you'll notice up at the very top now I got a TV view for you, so you can see what's going on all around me. Since I'm not showing any type of rear view cam, I thought it was, you know, it was worth the time to take and also record the race from the other view and get that up for you. So trying to up the production level a little bit, and we're off. So I do get an okay start. Don't have anybody fight me for the first corner, which is always a huge bonus. All about staying nice and clean. Lap 1, you know, if no one gets by you in that first corner, as long as you don't make a mistake, it's easy to then set the pace. If you're fast enough, you can walk away. If you're not, then you're gonna just be holding someone back, you know, the whole race, and hopefully you don't make any mistakes for them to capitalize on. Good start, clean, pretty clean. See how we do on the first hairpin of the race here. Pretty good, didn't slide off the track or anything. It's just that first lap, I mean, the jitters, just being nervous and everything. I have a car 1, you know, it's a lot of pressure, so you have to do well. iRacing's expecting you to win the race, so it's nice if you can prove them right by getting pole and then actually winning the race, but it doesn't always work out that way, especially in splits like this where it's so close. I mean, it's not like this is a top split and your car number 1 guy has 7,000 or 8,000 iRating. You know, we're all in this race are all right around the same iRating. You know, some people though have just started and are actually moving up quite quickly and have a lot of success, and other people have been kind of in the same, you know, area for years, just because that's the way the racing goes for them. And doesn't mean they're not fast though, and you get some people that come out because this is their favorite track, and they do really well. So that was a good first lap. We'll go ahead and just kind of keep playing the video through. We'll watch the rest of the race and talk about some important parts, but I really wanted to touch base again and pick back up where I left off in the previous video, which again, if you haven't watched that, make sure you check that link for it, the previous video. But when I got in iRacing, you know, with Roush Performance Esports, it was a huge thing for me. Not having any experience doing this, having to buy new gear, all that stuff was a big hurdle, I guess, for me, because I wasn't sure that I could do it or wanted to do it, I guess, is probably the more thing. I think I wanted to do it. I just didn't make sure I could. But in the end, I was able to go out and buy better equipment. So I upgraded to a Fanatec, it's the Club Sport V2.5 or whatever. I got their Elite pedals with the load cell, and I had my GT Omega wheel stand. So I had that, and then I went ahead and I bolted on some monitors onto that stand, and it worked out pretty well, and I was good to go. But I knew going into the Roush series that I was still a little bit behind on, where I wanted to be equipment-wise in the end. So we'll get into that more later when I kind of unveil my new rig and all the new stuff that I have. But just know that I knew that it was one of those things that could help me, and I didn't want it to be a disadvantage if it didn't have to be by having, inferior gear, I guess you could say. Now again, there's people out there that get it done race after race on some old stuff, home-built wooden rigs. I mean, it's whatever is comfortable for you and you can get it done in, awesome. I like to have good, solid stuff that is engineered well, and I don't mind paying for it. So that's why it was a big hurdle for me, was to finally say, okay, how much money do I want to put into sim racing? And so I've already put a ton of time in, so how much more do I want to put into it? But so anyways, we got a little bit of excitement here in the race, the little bit of a mistake, and next thing you know, a guy's right on your bumpers. So we got to fight and stay perfect, because once they get that close, and I mean they've had draft this whole time, and then there's another mistake, and that pressure's real. The guy is all in your mirror. You got to change your lineup, so got to protect from the dive bombs. But at the same point, you don't want to go too slow, because the rest of the field's gonna be right up on you too. So if you do make some sort of mistake, it's going to be even worse, because just more traffic and more potential spots you could lose. So I did a good job here, though, coming out of spoon, making sure I got a good run. You can back people up a little bit. You don't want to purposely brake early or over slow or anything like that, but if they're that close and that's that type of turn, you can back them up pretty easily, and you're not doing anything wrong. They have to just be cautious not to hit you or net code you, and that happens a lot at that corner. So most people running towards the front, I think, know to leave some space. So knowing that, I knew I could get a good exit. Same thing with here coming out of spoon. Just got to put a good exit down and get away. But now we've had a little bit of a change behind us. We got a new chaser. After the guy had a little bit of a issue. So we'll go back and we'll check out some of the incidents after the race. But yeah, this guy's got tow though, and I need to try to pull away. It's not the easiest thing to do if you're not super fast though. I watched some of the top split races where the very fastest guys are running low to mid 59s. And when they are in races with a lot of people a lot lower iRating than them, I mean, there's like double like the next closest guy's iRating. They're always like a second faster, and that's on their race laps too. So they end up running away with it. They win with like 10 and 13 second leads. But a lot of the other races, I've been watching a lot of races lately. I've watched far more of these races than I've actually competed in, just because I'm still trying to learn, and I find watching what better people do when I've done it as well, kind of helps solidify some of the thoughts I've had and some of the lines I've been taking or whatever it may be. So I like to watch a lot of races to then try to emulate that as best as possible when it's my turn to go on track. So I've picked up a lot of line improvements from doing that, and that's been awesome. So I definitely recommend, like just watching like my video possibly can help you, but it's always very easy just to jump on iRacing and hop in to see when the next race is starting, wait for it to fire up, and hit watch on the top split or whatever split you want to watch, I prefer to watch top just because that's where you're going to find the absolute best racers, and if you want to learn, that's the best place to learn. I don't think learning from someone just a little bit better than you is the ideal way to go when there's options for people that are way better than you. So that's what's so nice about this. It's gives me the ability just to jump in and check something out whenever I want, see how everything's doing, and then I'll watch the standings and you know, the results of races from each you know, split, and see kind of, you know, where the people in the 1900 range, where their qualifying times are, where their, you know, lap times are at in the race, you know. And I mainly look at not, you know, fastest lap in the race, but the average lap time in the race, because that's something that's important. It's not as important here just because you can get stuck behind somebody and well, you're now running their pace if you can't get around them. And I had that happen to me in the race earlier today. I got stuck, you know, after qualifying poorly. I got stuck behind some people, and I was running, my lap times were like 2:02.5. I mean, they were, you know, nearly 2 seconds off my best time. I mean, I think in that race, I ended up getting like a 2:01.3 as my best lap when I got a little bit of space. But other than that, I was stuck behind people I couldn't get around, and you can't put down faster laps than them if you're stuck behind them and they're slower than you. So that's where it is here. You know, if you can qualify P1, you know, start that race and not lose it in the first lap by staying clean. I mean, any type of lead you build, I mean, you just try to hold as long as you can and just try to keep extending it. But it's so hard to extend when these guys are so fast and so comparable. But you just do your best, you know, just don't make any big mistakes. Be ready to, you know, defend when you do, you know. That's the biggest thing I have to get used to doing. Yeah, another mistake there, touched the grass a little bit, but I've touched the grass there before on purpose, even just to try to get a little bit better cut. So it took me by a little bit of surprise because I wasn't trying to, but not enough that it caused me to spin out or anything. So yeah, here now we're starting to pull away a little bit. Just, you know, try to get them out of the draft a little bit. And unlike in the last race, I didn't you know, weave out of the way and stuff to try to break the draft and then lose my line and mess up T1 and 2. So learn from that lesson. But I see it on like all the top split racers. Anytime P1's got guys behind them, they always zigzag down that straight, like every time. I mean, it's the only way to, I guess, prevent really good fast drivers from getting around you. So that's something I do need to learn and add to my repertoire of racing skills. You know, it's part of racecraft, and I need to build on that a lot because that's where I'm lacking the most. I mean, it's one thing to have pace and to be consistent at that pace. It's a whole nother thing to operate around traffic and through traffic. And that's another thing I like about watching the top split races is that I can go and see, you know, these guys that they maybe won't qualify. You know, they'll have a 5 or 6K I rating. They just, you know, don't qualify because they choose not to, or they just can't get 2 laps in, or get 1 lap out of the 2 end, and they end up starting, you know, near the back. And then I like to just watch them and watch them carve through the field. I mean, there's always going to be freebies from offs, but these guys can also just go and just pass people at will, it seems, because they have the pace and they don't let the person in front of them with slower pace hold them up for any length of time. And I can't do that. I'm too cautious. I don't want to bump somebody. I don't want to make things worse for myself if I'm already behind. And those are the things where I just need to get better so that I'm more confident that when I do need to do something like that, or be a little more defensive or aggressive, whatever it is, that I just feel comfortable doing it. So that brings me to, you know, when I first got into iRacing and first started racing with Roush, racing with pro drivers, you know, having a good time. It wasn't that serious, but then it became serious because then they sent out an email about their World Tour Series, and it was going to be 2 different race series run on the same night, same day each month. They're did a sprint and then an endurance series, The sprint was just a single driver, 1 hour race. The enduro was meant to be team races. Some people soloed the races, but they were between 2 and 3 hour races. We had 6 total rounds. Now this was billed to be a big time series. A lot of pro drivers, a lot of fast sim racers, and good sponsors. So we had great sponsors like Continental Tire, Haggerty Insurance, and of course Roush was there involved with all that too. So I know they got some more sponsors that kind of, or people that kind of jumped in at the end that are going to get on with some other series they got going on. But they had some great sponsors. That's number one. So anytime you have a series with good sponsors, yeah, you're usually in a pretty good series. Now, this is their first time running something big like that, so race control and things like that, not necessarily the most strict or anything like that, or all seeing, right? A lot of incidents were kind of reviewed after the fact, and people got their hands slapped and saying, hey, we're broadcasting in front of thousands of people, guys. This isn't your 100, 200, 400, 500 viewer stream on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch or whatever. These guys, Roush Performance was killing it with thousands of live viewers and then tens of thousands of views afterwards, and I think they had 6 million total impressions throughout the 6-race series. So I mean, it's big time because they have a huge following from just the real racing stuff. So I mean, it's just so cool to be a part of that, and it's such a great opportunity that I can't stop talking about it. So that's why we're having this video talk and showing you a cool race. And yeah, I got the guy getting close to me again in his red Ferrari. Yeah, so the series was awesome. In the sprint series, I knew that that's something I could do by myself for the most part. Hour-long races are a little long, and I mean there's a pit stop in there as well, but it wasn't that bad. And they always usually had cautions too, so you maybe get 10, 12 minutes eaten up by a full course caution. So really in the end, maybe 45 minutes of driving, and it wasn't that bad. So I had some good races, did pretty well, but the endurance series, that was the big deal. That was the big deal one. So I really wanted to find a pro to team up with me for the series, because it was a lot of pro teams, and then it was like just sim racer teams. So I'm like, well, I would actually like to do a pro-am. I would like to have a pro racer, then me as the amateur, and we run together and see how it goes. But unfortunately I was unable to secure anybody, because I was a nobody. I still am a nobody, and yeah, no one was interested. So I did post though, looking for just somebody, and I actually found probably the perfect partner, co-driver, Paul Darling. And this guy is an SCCA champion, knows all the tracks that we had to do. Didn't know the car necessarily, but he's familiar with faster cars because we were in the Ford GTE. Everybody drove the Ford GTE. So that was cool to partner up with somebody that had already done all these tracks, tons and tons of laps. He did lots of endurance races, so he's used to being on a team. He brought along a strategist with him, Francois Brou, and Francois was super smart and was able to give us everything we needed to make sure we had our fuel and everything right. So looks like this race is over. So let's go ahead and then stop it. And you can see the results there, nothing changed. But let's go ahead and go up to full cam real quick. We'll finish this story and then come back and check the results. So anyways, Francois did a great job, strategizing out pit stops, fuel, things like that for us in the endurance races. And Paul was just a monster going out every time, he needed to qualify. He got P1 by quite a bit. And we end up out of 6 races, we won 4 out of the 6. 2 of them were P2 finishes. It was the first race that was the worst one for us, and that was 100% my fault. Paul went out and he beat the field on qualifying by well over second at Le Mans, and he had a huge lead when he brought me the car for my stint, and I was just so nervous because I first off didn't have a whole lot of racing experience, still was really new. Had just learned Le Mans. I put tons of time in. I put like almost 40 hours in on that track, and I got to respectable time. I was only I don't know, a few seconds off of his time, which at that track was pretty good, but I couldn't do it during the race. And that sucked because we end up losing that race by 6 seconds. It was a 3 hour race at Le Mans. We got second by 6 seconds. And it was all because I was way off pace. And I mean, I was a couple, like, yeah, I mean, I lost this alone, like 30 seconds, maybe 35 seconds off of what I should have been running, speed wise and all that. So I didn't record anything, brought the car back in one piece, but I was just really slow because I was super nervous and getting tense and all that. But the second race was really good. I actually did pretty well in the race. I ended up running into a guy that spun in front of me. Had to drive around for a few laps with some damage, but it worked out, and we got repaired. I always had a fast repair, so we got fast repaired, and Paul was able to get back in the car and battled and battled, and the leader at the end ran out of fuel for the last lap, and then we were in third, and he was able to overtake the next guy. So at that time, it made him P1 and crossed the line with a little bit of a lead there. So that was nice. Got our first win, and then tied us up in the points for the series as well. So it was really exciting going into the third race, which was actually here at Suzuka. So that's where I got my experience for this track, and then that's where now I'm doing this track. I probably would not have been anywhere near as fast in these races if I hadn't have put so much time in, over the summer when I was practicing in the Ford GTE for the races here. So I learned the track, in that car, put a ton of laps in. So now I can come to this track in a different car and perform well and not have to learn the whole track over again or anything. So that was really cool. But in the race here, things went pretty decent. Paul started first, got out to a lead. Then I got in the car, and I lost a couple spots just because I was battling some guys that were just a lot better than I was, and lost a couple spots. Paul to get back in, and after the caution, he was able to get back up into second. But then with a real hard fought battle for laps and laps, he just couldn't get around the guy. It was in P1. I mean, it's easy to keep people behind you on this track if you don't make a mistake. So that's what happened, and we finished second, and then in that race, and that was disappointing. I know Paul was real disappointed by that one. He was thinking he could get that one, but it was more on me. If I would have just been a little bit more on pace or able to keep people behind me better, more comfortable in traffic, and defending, then that would people wouldn't maybe got past, and he wouldn't have had to fight so hard at the end to do anything. And then we went on for the fourth round, and that was at Barcelona, and that was a fun race, and I did really well in that one in my stint, and Paul was able to bring it home. We won that one really easily, and then the next round after that was Bathurst. Now, all these tracks, I'd never been to any of them before, so Bathurst was that was intimidating, and it didn't take me long to get used to it, though. I had some issues with some walls, sure. I mean, who doesn't? But it, the last and the first corner, the 90s, I got those pretty well pretty early on, so that really helped me with some of the pace, and then also, I was pretty comfortable through the dipper, and then coming out of the elbow, making sure I was always getting a pretty good exit. Some other spots not so good all the time in, but we were able to do awesome in that race, and Paul qualified us P1 and was able to bring me the car, and I did pretty decent, and he was able to get back in and win. So it's just kind of getting repetitive, right? And then now on to round six, we had Nürburgring, the GP circuit, and then the full Nordschleife. So that was, oh my God, that was the biggest thing ever. But going into that race, we had like a 20-some point lead, and we just basically had to show up and finish the race, and we were going to be champions. So I didn't have as much pressure on me for that race as any of the other ones, but we still wanted to win. I mean, at that point, we had won 3 out of 5 races, and we wanted to finish it off with 3 wins in a row. So Paul went out, put down a great qualifying time and beat everybody, and brought me the car, and I was able to keep it clean and run fast enough, and yeah, he was able to get back in and finish it off, and that was a pretty easy win. So between me, him, and Francois helping us out with the strategy, we had a great team. So I really want to thank those guys again for signing up with me and dealing with me for 6 months in 6 races. It was a blast. But yeah, so that was Roush Performance Esports. I got a big trophy here from them. Also, we were awarded our seats N1 chassis from the sponsor Haggerty, and a set of Continental tires from Continental Tires. So that's some awesome prizes from awesome sponsors. So I definitely recommend you guys check out Roush Performance Esports. I'll put a link down in the description to their page so you can check out any of the series that they're going to be doing in the future. Make sure you get yourself involved and race with some of the real pros. So, I mean, it's an absolute blast. It's a great time. So, last but not least, let's go ahead and get back over to our other view here, and let's check out some results. This was split 3, 1755 strength of field. Let's see here. So yeah, car number 1, finish P1. It's always good for that to happen. Best lap time. So I got a 201.369, and that was bested by Jasper with a 201.274. Doesn't look any of these guys went any faster than I did. So second fastest lap. Jasper was pretty quick, and he started out right behind me. His average lap time was a 201.360, where mine was a 570. I was battling with Alexi behind me the whole time, so hindered things a little bit. But yeah, so maybe it's best that he had a little issue, and Alexi was able to get around him. So yeah, let's go ahead and see. So I gained 90 I rating. Yeah. Broke even with my safety rating because I had how many incidents here? 2 incidents. So okay, not too bad. And then the guy at the bottom here, Mirko, lost 89 I rating, so that stinks. His car 13. Looks like he just plain disconnected though. He didn't make the race. But yeah, so those are the results. Alright, that'll do it for this video, guys. I appreciate you watching. Please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I will see you guys next video. Peace.